Welcome to the House of Bloom. I'm your host, Clayton Bloom. So, I don't quite have a title for clips like these. I think I'm going to be doing them more often. So these videos are just going to be like little one-off, like little rants, just my thoughts, my feelings. So let's get to them and just call this the Untitled Work right now. So first on my notes on what I like to talk about is the Dodge EV. Seems like a lot of people are upset about that, and I don't fully understand why. I'm not gonna say that it's the best sounding car out there. Like, oh my God, why don't you love this sound? No, I mean, some people are gonna like it, some people are gonna hate it. But what I look at it is an option, and why aren't options good in the long run? And Dodge had like two ways to take this. They go the route that they did, or they did something similar to what Ford does. Well, not did, but did. Whenever they released the Mustang Mach-E, it comes out and it's quiet, just like a Tesla. Well, that was going to be the only other option, and I'm not a big fan of that. I like my car to have a little bit of sound to it, and like any other car fanatic out there, your car, you want to make your car. So by them releasing some form of audio system that's hooked up to the accelerator, to me, that is the next muffler of the world, so to speak. If the government's going to go ahead and really force these EVs and try to say that's the way we're going to go, then this is going to happen down the road. You're going to have more EVs. You're going to have just EVs everywhere. And wouldn't you like to have the option to either A, turn that off, B, use the stock sound that they have, or C, most likely somebody's going to go down the road, figure an aftermarket way of handling it, and give you different options of different sounds. To me, that sounds great. I think options are a good idea. So I don't see why everybody's getting upset over the way it sounds. It was either gonna sound like something or sound have no sound at all. So, well, but on that same note, um, I haven't found out which documentary it is. I keep seeing clips. I do need to look up this HBO documentary where they are talking about this new way of making gas. It actually sounds like a really great idea. I really hope they do start to get support over it. That instead of, um, whether you know this about EVs or not, they are not as clean as people make them sound to be. Yes, at the customer base, it sounds like it's a great clean car, and it's going to help out the environment. The amount of pollution and debris and all the heavy equipment you have to do to dig up that lithium to make that battery, from what I've heard, the math is roughly about the pollution you're putting in, just for that one battery, that initial beginning, is the same as a regular gas car on the road for 10 years. So it's not until you own that EV on the 11th year that you actually made a difference to any form of environmental of the environment. So these people have actually made a new way of making gas where it's a factory that you can put them anywhere. It doesn't have to be a high polluted city. It basically will suck out the CO that we've already put in the atmosphere, combines it with hydrogen, and it makes a new type of fuel that is the same as regular gasoline that we have on the market right now. They can tweak it and change it to whatever octane they need to be, and your current car does not need any change done to it at all. This stuff is basically the same as gas. You just pour it in. So not only are you um, coming up with a new way of uh, almost eliminating fossil fuels, but you're also taking out CO that we've already put in the atmosphere. To me, that sounds like a win-win. The only thing that I have heard, it did sound like the gas price won't really come down that much, for the mere fact as they normally transport oil to places, then make it in the gasoline, and then it's transferred locally where they've made the gasoline. This stuff, it's like it almost sounds like where they're pulling the CO and making it, that's where the gas has to be. So either A, there's going to be a very high risky transportation charge for all the gas, or each major city would have to have a basically one of these factories, that may not be a bad way of going about. You're inventing new jobs for out there on the market, and people get to keep their cars. We don't have to worry about the EV problem at this moment, because whether you know it or not, there is a massive problem that no city right now can actually take on the amount of EVs the government wants us to have. Basically, anybody's power grid will crash. California is one of the worst grids out there. They're always having rolling brownouts, and there's no way they could actually take on the. They can barely take on the EVs they have now. They're not going to be able to take on more. So, but enough on that. Let's go to the next topic. Uh, Event Horizon. I haven't really heard a whole lot. I hope you've all checked out the video that I made on it. What I'm hoping is I'd much rather them do a almost like a slight prequel after the events actually happen and we have these creatures rolling around and mankind has just recently woke up. That's where I would like to see the series take place. Make it more about Ross, how he's coming up. I mean, if you look at his character model, he is bigger than a lot of the other characters. And why was he just given Aloy? Like, it almost seems like it was somewhat thought and planned out, and I feel like you got a storyline there. I've heard rumors that it's actually everything that happens before. It's the so-called Judgment Day, um, whenever people are gonna go into hibernation and sleep, and the world basically ends. To me, that's too similar to every so many other sci-fi movies out there, and I've seen it. I'm not going to see anything new. I feel like if you have, and even if it's sci-fi bad CGI, I'd much rather see something with the creatures of Horizon walking around and people that are basically borderline Vikings or Native Americans rebuilding society and hunting these machines. To me, that sounds new, different, and interesting, and you can still base it more on Ross, so it doesn't interfere with any of the games. But that's my opinion. I haven't heard a lot of people say elsewise. Whether that's a good one or a bad idea, please comment below. Let me know. Um, okay. Want to talk a little bit about wrestling now. Um, I don't know about you, but with AEW, starting to wonder, is CM Punk really the guy we think he is? It just seems awfully strange that they weren't really. They hesitated on him in WWE. He got frustrated, walked off. Then he kind of went into business for himself. A huge blow up backstage. I mean, there's a lot of tiny stories you're hearing about it, and he's the only common denominator. Um, as much as he's the ratings pool for AEW, Khan's gotta watch how he handles this, and I don't know. I feel like he may have to pull the trigger and just let him go and try to build his next CM Punk instead of relying on CM Punk. But that's my feeling. He's gonna do whatever he's gonna do, calling over there. I know he just brought back Paige, uh, or Soraya, and I don't know. How do you guys feel about her being back? I mean, it's great to see that she's doing something. I don't know if I can like think of that one match like, oh my god, I couldn't wait to see her. I almost feel like she's had her time and she's done all that she could as a wrestler. I heard that right before she signed, WWE was, or actually not before she signed, but before she left, back when Vince was still around, they were trying to make her GM. And the Deville storyline, that was actually supposed to be her. I feel like that would actually make sense. It seems weird to have this wrestler be a GM, but she's also a wrestler, but then half the time she's not a wrestler and she doesn't put her she's the crooked evil GM, but she doesn't put her in storylines where she's more likely to get title shots. It just seems a little bit like half thought. Paige would seem like that would have made more sense. Like, okay, yeah, maybe she's the crooked GM, but and this is why she's not doing that because she can't actually wrestle. So I feel like that just would have been a much better storyline, but she chose to walk and tried elsewhere with AEW. I don't know how much I'm really worried about seeing her in AEW. But we'll see what happens. I am also curious at how many more years does Jericho have left in the tank. Not that I want him to be retired. I think he's a great wrestler. I just don't want to see him get hurt. I much rather him, and not just hurt, but and I mean not just physically hurt, emotionally hurt. I don't want him to be at that point going like, oh God, I should have retired last year. Like I'm just trending downhill now with my match. I want him to retire at a comfortable spot where it's like, okay, I've done everything I can. I could go on longer, but it's not going to be the match I expect them to be. Maybe now I just need to cool it. It's kind of similar with Kurt Angle. He knew when he needed to just step away. He went on that retiring tour. I kind of like to see Jericho do that. Have when he decides to call it quits. I think him as a legend, Khan needs to let him have a little bit more leeway. Say like, hey, look, I want to do this match and this match at AEW. I like to have this match and this match at ROH. After that, I know we already got connections with Impact Wrestling. I like to have a couple matches there. At that point, will be stepping away from my contract and trying to get a half year one off going away with WWE and retire with them. I've done everything that I can. I just want to have one last match in front of as many fans as I can, and then step away. I similar to what Kurt Angle did. I like to see Jericho do that. I don't know if we're gonna get a chance to see Jericho do that, but I think that's the ideal plan for him. And I don't know. I think that's all I got. I don't know how often I'm gonna do these. That they're not quite videos that I can really make. I can make them easily, but I don't know how to make my thoughts clearly. And none of these things are big enough as one video by themselves. So they're just like little random thoughts. I love to see feedback and communications with you guys, and let me know what you think. And I'd appreciate a like and a share. And I'll see you next time on the House of Bloom. And till then, be happy.